Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for your patience. You know, every so often we encounter a couple of technical issues. So thank you again for joining us this morning. We are excited to welcome you. Before I get started and introduce us, I just did want to share we are recording the webinar. So we will be posting a copy of this recording later. So if anybody misses something, or perhaps maybe we mentioned something too quickly, or for anybody that might be joining us a little bit later, it will be posted so everyone will have access to it. And so again, we are here this morning to share information about our virtual academy, and we are excited to do so. So I will go ahead and get us started with introductions. Next slide, please. And so with you today, I am Dr. Gomez. I am the Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services. And we also have Dr. Paget, and I'll let her introduce herself.
Good morning, I'm Dr. Paget. I'm Director of Student Services.
And then we do have translation available. And so we have Nancy Pulido, who is our interpreter this morning. And so I will turn it over to Nancy so she can share how to go ahead and access the translation. We'll go back to the slide, Robin. There you go. The next slide for translating. So for those of us that may need translation or interpretation in Spanish, we do have interpretation available. So if you can go ahead and down at the bottom of your screen, you should see a little globe. It's a little image that resembles a globe, and it'll say interpretation. If you hover over that and click on it, you'll be able to choose the language of your choice to listen to the presentation. If you choose Spanish, you'll be able to hear Spanish. And so I just wanted to make sure everybody has an opportunity and understands in order to hear the presentation in Spanish. If you should need that, then go ahead and choose, select that option on the globe. And I'll pause and make sure everybody doesn't encounter any issues, any questions. Les queremos dejar saber que si alguien necesita interpretación en español, pueden abajo de la pantalla, tienen una imagen que representa un globo del mundo y le puede oprimir a esa imagen y elegir el idioma que le corresponda. O si lo quiere escuchar la presentación en español, puede elegir español y entonces escuchará a Nancy, que es la que nos está interpretando. Okay, thank you, Dr. Paget. If you'll go back then, and I'll explain how we'll do Q&A as well. So we do have the ability for folks to ask questions. We have the Q&A option down below. So if you hover again down below, you will see two little like caption bubbles that say Q&A, and that is where you can ask any questions, and then we will respond to them. We might be responding to some live as we're going through the presentation. And then if it's something perhaps that you're asking that maybe is a little bit more specific or unique to a situation that you may have, we may then just respond to you directly. And so we wanted to make sure though that everybody knew that you do have the opportunity to ask questions, and we'll be providing you those answers here in the Q&A as well. So let's go ahead and get started and talk about what is the Virtual Academy and why are we offering it. So Virtual Academy is really, it's a new school that we are offering here in Paramount Unified School District. And we're offering this new school to provide our students with some flexible learning opportunities that would be both virtual and in person. And again, the reason for this is really we saw for as challenging and as horrible as this pandemic has been, it did actually allow us to rethink education and to rethink a traditional classroom to go beyond the four walls of an actual brick and mortar building. And so while there were some challenges that were posed with distance learning, we did see that there were students who thrived, and they thrived in that virtual environment or in that non-traditional environment. And so this is a program that we've designed, or a new school rather, that we've designed to really afford students who might be self-motivated, self-directed, very independent learners, that opportunity to maybe participate in some other options aside from your traditional school setting. And so one of the flexibilities that the Virtual Academy will bring is provide flexibility for students in their schedule to be able to engage in various different activities. So we might have students that perhaps wanted to take additional classes and they couldn't necessarily fit it into their schedule, or we might have students that want to be dual enrolled both with us as well as maybe at a college. We may even have some students that like a little bit of that social piece of getting together with peers and with their friends, but they do benefit or they do participate better more in a virtual environment. And so we wanted to make sure that we thought of all of these specific situations that students might benefit from and create this new virtual academy. So what would the structure look like for our virtual academy? At this time, our virtual academy is going to be for grades 6 through 10. And for our middle school students in grades 6 through 8, it will offer the opportunity of both virtual and in-person opportunities. So students would attend class virtually, and they would also be afforded the opportunity to maybe, have some in-person opportunities. There would be instruction that'll be both synchronous and asynchronous. And I understand maybe these terms, we've been a while from distance learning, so we might have forgotten these terms, and we're going to recap what these terms mean in just a bit. But it will provide opportunities for synchronous and asynchronous instruction. And the curriculum that we'll be using is the exact same curriculum that we currently already use in our 6th through 8th grade classrooms if the student was in person, whether they would be here at the virtual academy. For our 9th and 10th graders, it'll be slightly different. It'll be mostly all virtual, and it'll be very self-paced. So the curriculum that we would be using would be Edgenuity, which is an online self-paced curriculum that is completely A through G approved. And we are currently working toward our NCAA. And so what that means is for students who maybe participate in athletics, we want to make sure that everybody is aware at this point, our approval, we are in the process of seeking that approval, and it is not finalized. So for anybody that is looking at elite athletics, I would not recommend this program only because there is that caveat with the NCAA approval. And you always want to make sure that you have that approval already there. But we are completely A through G approved. So in terms of applying to college and being college ready or UC and Cal State University ready, those classes would count and are eligible. And the last piece that I did want to mention as well is this is different because we aren't offering independent study for grades 6 through 10. We're only going to have this virtual academy structure. It would require a commitment of 1 semester. And so our semester would be from August, which is the first day of school, through December, which is when we would be tracking off for winter break. And so that would be the one difference with that. And now I think I'm turning it over to Dr. Paget to share a little bit about those terms.
So Virtual Academy is blending in-person instruction, in-person opportunities to connect with peers and teachers with online and virtual learning. The in-person opportunities afforded with our Virtual Academy school are that offer opportunities for students to connect in school with teachers, school staff, and each other. These opportunities could be peer interaction with social emotional learning, assemblies, field trips, perhaps science labs, tutoring from instructors, small group instruction, etc. This may include also wellness checks, progress monitoring, relationship building, etc. Synchronous instruction, which is virtual, this was provided in distance learning, also in independent study this year. This is live, two-way virtual communication between the student and the teacher. Instruction is delivered by our teacher for Virtual Academy. Classroom style instruction is provided in this synchronous setting. Designated small group and one-on-one instruction is also provided in synchronous instruction. Asynchronous instruction is when the students work independently to complete work and submit work online. This may include pre-recorded video lessons, teacher-assigned work, online reading and math programs, essays, etc. So what would your child's day look like in a virtual academy school? For grades 6 through 8, your morning would consist of synchronous instruction from their teacher of record in English language arts, math, social studies, and science. It could consist of a combination of any of those courses in a virtual synchronous instruction setting with lessons delivered by the teacher of record. Your student's afternoon would include asynchronous assignments in those content areas and elective, and then a PE class, which is virtual and synchronous. For grades 9, 10, the morning could consist of online coursework in Edgenuity classes for those content areas that they need for graduation requirements and to fulfill their desires for electives. Their afternoon could consist of PE class, virtual and synchronous. And if they would like to participate in a CTE or elective class on campus at Paramount High School or at a community college, they can do so in this setting. In-person opportunities that are provided in our virtual academy school are peer interaction, collaborative study groups, contact with school staff, addressing student questions on assignments, social emotional learning support, wellness checks. For grades 9, 10, these in-person opportunities could be the opportunity to enroll in class at Paramount High West campus or Paramount High Senior campus. For example, CTE courses, band, JROTC, etc. In middle school, these on-campus opportunities may expand and open after our pilot year of the 22-23 school year. I'll turn it over to Dr. Gomez.
Yes, so first, opportunities for synchronous instruction. And again, you'll recall from Dr. Padgett sharing that the synchronous instruction is that live two-way communication piece between teacher and student. And so there would be opportunities for small group work with the teacher and or school staff. That could be on a Google Meet or on a Zoom. There would be whole class instruction, so direct instruction being provided to the entire class virtually via Google Meet. There could be some one-on-one instruction, so maybe some small group or intervention that would be a little bit more dedicated to an individual student. Two-way communication could happen also over the telephone, via Schoology. There could be some check-ins, there could be guided practice, and then of course feedback so that students are aware as to how they're progressing, if they might need additional support, if there may be something that they might be struggling with, and then assignments being monitored and turned in weekly to the teacher so that the teacher is able to provide that feedback and that immediate response to students. We'll also be providing social emotional support. And so we understand, obviously, by having a virtual environment, there could be a concern of students perhaps not necessarily being able to engage with their peers. And so we want to make sure that that's why we're offering those in-person opportunities and those synchronous opportunities. But we do also want to be mindful of the fact that there are some students that perhaps due to anxiety or due to other things that might be going on, the virtual environment is a positive one for them, or they might need some additional social emotional support. And so everyone will have access to our school counselors and our social workers. If anybody is currently perhaps already seen one of our school counselors or our social workers, that would continue. If anybody needed access to them, we could extend that access. They'll be participating and providing classroom guidance lessons or even providing referrals, should referrals be something that perhaps a student or a family may be looking for. We also have My Tutor, which is, we've had that, I believe, for the last year and a half, if I'm not mistaken, and that is on-demand online tutoring that we offer to all to our students. And then we have an actual curriculum that is for the kindergarten through 8th grade students. That is a digital curriculum to support our social emotional learning. And then we do offer also we want to be mindful that we could have some students that are in special education that could benefit from a virtual and the virtual environment or the virtual academy. And so wanting to be mindful of our considerations for our students that might be in special education or might have an IEP. An IEP meeting would be required to apply for the virtual academy. And so that would be in order to allow the IEP team to be able to discuss and determine whether FAPE, so our free and appropriate public education, can be provided in the virtual academy as the least restrictive environment. So this isn't, yes, we can, or a no, we can't. It really would be an IEP team decision. And so if the IEP team would agree that FAPE can be provided within the virtual academy and that it would constitute least restrictive environment, then the district would be able to identify how and when the child's services would continue and be able to enroll the child in the virtual academy. And so now, if you're ready to apply, and we'll have an opportunity, like I said, for questions, but if you've already kind of, perhaps your child was in distance, well, everyone was in distance learning, obviously 2 years ago, but perhaps your child this year also continued within independent study. And so your child really did well within that, working independently, and they're self-motivated and they'd like to continue in a virtual setting. This is the website on our school website. This is the web page, excuse me. And so there is a bit.ly to the right-hand side, but you can also scan the QR code because sometimes I understand it could be hard to type that in. And so when you get to this page on our district website, there will be the opportunity for you. You'll see a step 1 and a step 2. This is a 2-step process. And so there is an application that you would need to complete, you and your child. And so the application, you can download it either in English or in Spanish. It is there for you to download. And the first step would be obviously to download and complete that application. Once that application is then completed, and thank you, Dr. Paget, we have an image of what the application would look like. Step 1, there's the application. Once that application is completed, then you would fill out the Google form and upload it. And so if you'll go back to the previous slide for just a minute, Dr. Paget. And so there you'll see step 2, submit your application using this Google form. And so you can see where it says step 2 to submit it with the Google form. That link will take you to this Google form. It'll look just like this, a Paramount Virtual Academy application. And so on this form, you'll just put, your name, contact information, and you'll upload the application. And so then this will provide us the opportunity. It'll notify us you've completed the application and you're interested, and then we can follow up and provide you with additional information. And I believe I'm turning it back over to you, Dr. Paget, if we might still not be sure.
If you're still not sure if Virtual Academy is the best setting for your child, discuss this with your family and your student. It's important to choose the best model for your child based on their needs and on their strengths. This webinar is being recorded. We also will be posting the PowerPoint in both English and Spanish on our Virtual Academy page, and that will allow you the opportunity to review back anything that we discussed, review the webinar again with your family and your student, and decide whether this is the best setting for your student for next year. As Dr. Gomez explained, enrollment requires at least 1 semester commitment. You can commit to the entire year, but at least it is 1 semester commitment to really involve the child in all the opportunities that can be provided for the Virtual Academy through that entire semester. If you're interested in a virtual setting, but your child is not in grades 6 through 10, we will be offering independent study as a possible option for grades K through 5. More information about our independent study program for 22-23 school year will be posted on our Paramount Unified School District website at a later time. We will have all the details involved. This will be also an application process with a parent conference. It will be a similar setup as the Virtual Academy application so that we can best determine the setting that will fit your child's needs. We want to thank you for joining us in introducing our exciting new school for the Paramount Unified School District. We've been thoroughly enjoying this process to be able to provide an alternative setting that can give your student in-person opportunities, virtual opportunities, and a flexible setting in order for your student to have all of those options that they want to participate in. The Q&A is available now in both English and Spanish. If you have any questions, we'll remain on and we'll be able to answer in the Q&A. Once we answer the question, it will be displayed for you during the webinar post. Thank you so much for joining us. If you have any other questions, you can please call at our Student Services Department, 562-602-6035. Thank you so much and have a great day.
Dr. Paget, there's a question about what the schedule might look like, if you want to talk a little bit about that.
So I'll go back to the slide that we spoke about with morning and afternoon. So the schedule would be in the morning would be synchronous instruction with the teacher of record. So there would be classes in English, language arts, math. They could consist also of social studies and science. And then in the afternoon, students would work on assignments in an asynchronous model and then have PE class in a virtual and synchronous setting.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize I was muted. And I know we had somebody, somehow it came in through the chat. And so I know we'll remedy that, but just as a question that was asked, is the concern obviously is students might have been in independent study between distance learning and then independent study this year. And so the concern about maybe transitioning back to in-person and that maybe not working out, or students feeling much more comfortable staying in a virtual environment. And so we will be looking at a finite time within the first 30 days of school, so that perhaps somebody starts in the virtual academy and then realizes it's not for them, or somebody starts in person and wants to switch over. The only caveat is it would need to happen within the first 30 days of school. And the reason for that is just to make sure grades and everything else transitions over. Any other questions? We will be having another webinar session this evening. So we'll have additional folks that'll be able to join us then. And then what we'll do is, from recurring questions, we'll produce an FAQ document similar to what we did last year with independent study. And it'll provide opportunities for information to be disseminated through the website in terms of questions that might be frequently asked or might be recurring, to ensure that that information gets out to everyone. And if there are any concerns, there might be a question or concern in terms of teachers feeling that maybe they're not taking it serious through a virtual environment. And so that would definitely not necessarily be the case. We want to make sure that we're providing just as rigorous of an opportunity as we would in school, in class. I think any comparisons done to the first year of distance learning was challenging, because there was a lot of things that, we were kind of learning as we went. There was the reduced shortened school day. And so all of that is off the table. We are expected to go to school the full day, just like we were this year. And so we want to make sure that if there are any concerns or any questions, obviously those would be addressed with the teacher as well as the administrator. And so we do have some people saying thank you, that they appreciate having this online opportunity for students again. So we do, again, we understand that this was something that came up. People were interested, so we wanted to make sure that we have provided those opportunities. And then, as Dr. Paget mentioned, for our students in K-5, it will be independent study. And so it will mirror similar to the program that we ran this year. And again, more information for that will be provided on our website. And the staff will be our current district staff. As is with all programs on staffing based on enrollment, we may have to hire additional staff, but we would obviously start with all of our staff.
So there's a question in the chat regarding the difference between Virtual Academy and Independent Study. The difference is that Virtual Academy offers in-person opportunities to attend class on campus if you're a high school student, or attend social emotional opportunities, field trips, labs, homework assignment help, etc. in person. Whereas this year's Independent Study was fully virtual in order to ensure that students did not need to come on campus. So next year in Virtual Academy, it will be a blended program. In Virtual Academy, students will need to come on campus for certain activities. Some will be optional, some will be required.
Okay, I don't see any other questions. We'll wait maybe another minute or so to make sure there's nothing else in the Q&A. Again, if perhaps, I know we had somebody that mentioned that they joined late. If you joined late, or maybe you have a neighbor or friend that's interested, we will be having another session this evening. We will also be posting this one that was recorded. We'll be posting a recording of the session on our website for anybody to watch afterward. And so again, there is the opportunity to either rejoin us this evening or watch the video presentation again. We thank everybody for your time, and we look forward. We want to, if we don't see you again this afternoon, this evening rather, we want to wish everybody a nice summer and enjoy vacation, and obviously always wishing that our families and our communities stay safe and healthy during these times. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.